What's up, YouTube fam? Welcome to the Robbie C channel. We are in the Birdie Talks series. This is part 2, the back 9. So if you guys missed it and you were like, hey, why is Hunter here? You missed a video, but that's okay because this video can stand on its own. But if you want to see the front 9, you can find the card for it is in, sure, it's one of these corners. I don't know. Time's relative. So we're here on the back 9, gonna have a great time. We got 9 questions, get to know Hunter, gets to see the inside of it. You guys know him from his videos, you guys know him from Foundation, but we wanna know Hunter as the person. Sensei, it was like a small little run they did.
Oh, I'm all over it, I'm all over it.
Here on the first hole, it's like 175 feet, dead straight. You've aced this on camera before.
I aced it with a Sonic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I knew don't challenge this man to a lid battle because I watched.
You could beat me with a polecat.
I watched Connor get devastated during that. So, sorry, Connor. You know it's nothing but love here. All right, so you recently your first son was born.
Yes.
I am not a father to humans. You know, I'm a puppy dad, and you got 2 dogs as well. What is one of the, like, have you ever seen Inside Out? It's that like Pixar movie.
About like the emotions?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Core memories is what they call it, right? Like the orbs and all that. What is a core memory that you are looking forward to most with your son?
Oh, looking forward to the most.
Not one you have, because it's been a short time, so I'm sure there's like already like...
There's already
when
several.
I held him for the first time.
Yeah, there's already several, but I think one of the first ones is probably going to be the first time that like he takes a basketball and actually just makes a shot on his little Tykes hoop himself. Like obviously I can like right now he could hold it, I could like don't shake the baby, but I could get him to drop it in the hoop. And like but
oh man. I'm just picturing like little Luke, hey, you got it. Throw the ball! Get in there!
But the first time that he which it'll probably be a solid year from now when he walks up, I think that'll be a huge moment. He's 6 months old as of yesterday.
Wow.
So as of 2 days
halfway
ago,
around
Sunday. Yeah. So about 10 months from now, I can probably expect that. I think because that's a memory I had growing up of me and my dad. We would watch tons of college basketball, and we had a hoop in the kitchen. My mom let us have this. It had a B on it. I don't know what brand it was. And halftime of every college basketball game, my dad and I would go in there and we would just play one-on-one. And that is what I'm looking forward to the most with Luke. I already told my wife, I was like, hey, this is a non-negotiable. Yeah. I will give up a lot of things to make this happen. There's gonna be a hoop in our living room or our kitchen, and Luca and I are just gonna go to town playing some one-on-one. So when he first makes a shot, that's gonna be a big moment.
Just like
get around that tree. Oh no! Don't roll. Oh no! Sit. There we go.
That's fine. That's fine.
That's exactly where you want to be. That's what people don't realize about this hole.
Yeah, like the huge drop off.
You think it's the basket with the orange tape sitting right in front of you.
Yeah. No.
It's down there.
Going to see Mr. Tumnus.
Secret passage.
Secret tunnel!
Flip, baby, flip, baby, flip.
BFI polecat.
A lot of times you get a little bit of a counter skip. All right.
Yeah, that's fine.
I'll trade you.
We'll make a putt.
Oh boy.
Yeah, the one time that I played this hole, I tried to throw the forehand on the green basket and ended up where he was.
That was not good.
Time to be that guy. You know what? I'm gonna go stagger. Why not?
Oh, heck yeah. Great putt.
Whoa, we almost died.
Nope.
Hey, that's fine.
There's a 4.
It doesn't look like you really need to do a lot. Just 165, you just throw it off.
Kind of throw it out there, let it hyzer, watch it roll down the hill.
Yeah.
Take a bogey.
Only thing kind of holding you back is like every single tree standing in your way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of holding back, what do you think is the biggest thing holding disc golf back as a sport right now?
That's a loaded question. The biggest thing. Gosh. I'll let you go ahead and throw while
Yeah. I'm gonna go, you know what, we haven't thrown a lot of them. That's gonna be too stable, so I'm just gonna go back to it, never mind.
There you go.
It's a polecat video.
Man, the biggest thing, I mean, I think the answer to this is ever changing, and there's less and less answers out there now, which is a great problem to have. Because I think if you would have asked me this pre-COVID, pre-Jeff Spring and Todd Rainwater buying out the Pro Tour, I think there was a lot of answers. But they've done some fantastic job. They've made incredible moves growing the sport on the professional side. When I think of holding disc golf back, I think pro scene is where my mind goes.
Sure.
Because the AM scene, there's so much going on right. There's so much that'll always be wrong about it. That's just, every AM scene's different. So you walk into one town, everything's figured out. You walk into the next, everything's crap.
Yeah.
That's just the nature of sports. But the pro scene, I think, there it goes. There it goes. That was a bad shot to begin with, but man, the pro scene, what is holding disc golf back? The number one thing, if you can't tell, sometimes I just start a sentence and hope I find it before I finish.
Bro, filibuster is a real thing.
Yeah. You know what? I would say I think the number one thing that's holding it back currently is a mixture of eyeballs in the wrong place.
Ooh,
I think I'm not going to say eyeballs need to be live disc golf or post-produced, or, well, I think eyeballs need to all be together. Because I think right now we're dividing our audiences in a lot of ways that is making us less sellable than we actually are. So I think more people watch disc golf than we can actually pitch to advertisers. And
which keeps
the bigger advertisers you get in the sport, I think people a lot of times too don't realize the power advertisers have.
Yeah.
And like what they can do with events when they take ownership of them. Because like if you watch, I mean, literally a good example is we just saw pickleball explode, and as of shooting this, like, please sit. As of shooting this, Ricky just posted where he went to like a professional pickleball tournament, and you had Carvana, which will probably be bankrupt in a few weeks. Different story. You'll have Carvana out there, and they have like this whole booth set up, and there's like a whole fan experience thing going on. And a lot of that stuff doesn't happen without the right advertisers. Yeah. And the right advertisers won't happen until we get enough eyeballs and everything in the right spot that we can package it together and be like, hey, you know, your ad, your experience, integration, all that's gonna reach 300,000 live concurrent viewers. Versus, you know, you have 40,000 subscribers to the Disc Golf Network, 400,000 subscribers to Jomez, 100,000 people watching Gatekeeper, you have them all over the place. I think the more that can all come together, which it is, the better the sport will be. Yeah. But for that to be the answer that I come up with for the biggest thing holding the sport back, I think means the sport's in a great spot right now.
Totally. Yeah. And I think that partially comes from so many people were trying to make disc golf their career. Yeah. So at such an early time that they had to be competing for the eyeballs. Absolutely. And so absolutely. Now we can just do it together.
Yeah. It's a weird spot. It's a weird transition phase, but.
All right. We've had two pretty intense questions to start it off in terms of, you know, emotional commitment. Where's the sport going? But a lot of people can't even get to that level without their morning cup of joe. Yeah. You are not a certified coffee snob, but you like your specialty coffee.
I love my specialty coffee. Yes, I do.
What is the biggest thing that you see people do with coffee that just grinds your gears?
So, grind your gears, that's a funny reference to coffee. Anyways,
grind your personal cocoa beans.
So if you get into specialty coffee, like, there is some serious gatekeeping that, like, I am not a, like you said, I'm not a specialty coffee snob by any means. I will enjoy a cup of coffee from anywhere. I'll go to Starbucks, get myself a caramel ribbon crunch frappuccino. Absolutely. And down that thing like it's nobody's business. I just understand that's not coffee. I know that's a milkshake. That's some coffee sprinkled in there.
And I love the milkshake.
And so what I would say I think the biggest thing that would grind my gears is, and a lot of it is just people are learning about specialty coffee, so they don't know fully how to push their coffee to get the most out of it. Yeah. But when people buy a really expensive coffee that is supposed to be like made a very special way, or you make sure, like, you know, we're going V60, we're going AeroPress, we're pulling a shot of espresso and we're getting it dialed in, like, it's going to be enjoyed, to be cherished. It's from like a, you know, great lot, maybe how it's processed, all of that. And then you just throw it in basically your K-cup instant filter, and then you're like, man, it isn't even that good. It's like, well, not dip, Sherlock. You just brewed it at 215 degrees, the water's boiling, you put it through a percolator, then you're like, this thing sucks. It's like, well, yeah. It'd be like if you give Paul Macbeth a destroyer, or we'll use a force, he can make a beautiful flight out of it.
Totally.
Because he has the tools and ability to do so. You give that same destroyer to me, it's gonna suck, because I'm not gonna get it to flip and ride and all of that. Because Paul has the tools, capabilities, and knowledge to make a disc act that way. Same thing with coffee. If you're gonna brew coffee and you want to spend a lot of money on specialty coffee, learn how to make that specialty coffee first, or else you're wasting your money. And I don't think that hopefully doesn't sound too gatekeeperish. It's more so like, if you're entering the specialty coffee world, start with like a good like Guatemalan or Brazil or something that has some of that like peanut chocolatey flavors, because that's still going to be able to come through when you're making it in your home drip machine. And then you'll start to be like, oh, you know, maybe I only want 1 pack of sugar in this. I don't want any cream in it. And then you slowly are like, I wonder what would happen if I did this by hand. I wonder if I used the Chemex as my next step. And then you slowly get to it before you go to the wild, like Kenyans, Ethiopians, natural processes, and you start having like acidic flavors punching you in the jaw. You can't get there if you're making it the wrong way. So I think that would be one thing, is like people who claim to be really into specialty coffee but make it the wrong way. I'm like, well, you're wasting your money.
That's fair. That's fair. Is that viable?
Yeah.
This high?
It definitely is.
Okay. Be stable, Pole Kitty.
Oh, nice shot.
I realize I blocked it. That's my bad, viewers.
I saw it.
At the
It doesn't matter if it's gonna go in.
Oh!
Off the
Stumped
boss. This whole like leaner top basket thing makes me a little nervous.
Don't get me started.
But
there you go.
game on. If you've listened to any foundation things before, we know that you have a unique allergy to some, although not obviously as uncommon as people might believe. Red meat allergy.
Yeah.
What is the weirdest food experience you've ever had?
In general, or since the allergy?
I'm just gonna go, I'm gonna say, however you want to interpret that. That can be weirdest. It's 150 feet, we're gonna throw it straight. And so,
Do you?
Yeah.
Cold pasta.
Oh.
Yeah. So you can take it like in terms of
Let me just
weirdest food.
Have you ever been to
weirdest-
China?
I've never been to China.
Okay. Well, I went to China when I was in 8th grade, and believe it or not, I'm less of a picky eater by miles nowadays than when I was in 8th grade.
Okay.
And so, going to China, I liked chicken, I liked cheeseburgers, and I liked pizza. And that was
three things they don't have
it.
in China.
And
that
so
often.
they had sweet and sour chicken here and there.
Yeah.
Dumplings, didn't touch. Pasta, give or take. I didn't really like Asian pasta though, so
Yeah.
I liked Italian pasta.
Yeah.
And you know, there's a lot of like duck being thrown around, not touching that. So, and a lot of the Chinese culture and respect is around food and like how
Totally.
you treat food. Like when people cook for you, like the way you show respect is you eat the entire meal and then you burp after. Of like that's a thing in China apparently. At least maybe the kids were pranking me, but they told me like, hey, when my parents cook for you, like that will show them that you enjoyed the meal and you completed it. So we get over to this kid's house, one of the students, and he had built up all week, you know, his mom was gonna make us pasta dish. I forget what it was called. It's a very traditional, that was a big skip, very
big
traditional
skip.
like Chinese pasta dish.
Yeah.
And my brother had been to China at this point like 15 times.
Okay.
He loved this dish. He doesn't tell me anything about it. He's like, Hunter, just try it.
It's gonna be great.
You're gonna like it. Like it's really thick, doughy noodles. Like it's gonna be so good. I'm so excited. So I'm like, this is gonna be great.
Yeah. Finally get to eat something.
Like, you know what? Jimmy thinks I'm gonna like it. I'm gonna like it.
Yeah.
We roll up. They make it. They bring it out. They sit it in front of me, and it looks good. It looks delicious. And get my chopsticks. You know, I'm talking to them. They like walk out of the room, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna take my first bite of this, so that if I don't like it, I don't have to hide my facial reaction. Ice cold. Ice cold. Like beef broth and stuff's in there. Ice cold. So I spit it back in my bowl. Look, they weren't in there.
Luckily.
I spit it back in my bowl. I look around my brother. I'm like, dude, they forgot to cook mine. He's like, no, it's cold. Like, it's meant to be cold. And I'm like, I can't do this. Like, I cannot eat this. And so I like staged like I was eating it some.
Yeah.
And I would like talk with my hands and put some into my brother's bowl,
I love it.
trying to be like a little bit sneaky about it.
Yeah.
And then at some point I fed the rest of their dog under the table so that when the parents came back in,
And then
I had finished
force the burp?
I didn't force the burp. I could not do that, but I had finished my meal at least. But it was not for me. But you know, one thing that broadened my horizons in China was there is my brother loved, it was called Rojjiaomo, and it was I probably butchered the pronunciation, but it was essentially like pulled pork, more or less. That was terrible. But you're in a foreign country, so the foreign countries I had went to a lot of times were like third world countries, and you know, like don't drink the water, make sure you only use like filtered water. When you're eating from a food stand, don't do it. Don't eat from the food stand. That was kind of the culture I'd always been in when I traveled.
Yeah.
We're like walking down the street, and I mean, like this part of China, like there's dogs in cages next to these food trucks. They weren't pets. They were for the food trucks. Like that's kind of where we're walking, and like it was a shock to me. It's just normal culture over there. And so I'm like walking through, and my brother's like, this is it. This is where we want to go. We walk up to this food truck. I'm like, I ain't eating this. And Jimmy was like, no, Hunter, trust me, this will change your life. You're gonna love it. So he got me one, and it was like the bag's dripping with grease, and it was just like this like soggy pulled pork sandwich, and one of the best things I've ever eaten. It was incredible. I didn't ask too many questions. I just downed it, and you know what? We had like 3 more of them.
So 150 feet.
Yeah, the back 9, front 9 was all 250, back 9's all 150.
150. Okay, yeah. So you got right at it. Does the backhand exist, or is it a little scarier?
You can.
Just probably not an H run if you go with the backhand.
If you're a wimp, you can throw the hyzer.
Okay. Well, I am a wimp, but you know.
No, the hyzer definitely exists, but the up the guts, that's the fun route.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Speaking of fun routes, a while ago you had a hobby, longboarding.
Yeah.
You had the gloves. You were sliding.
Yeah.
You were doing your thing. Is that the scariest hobby that you've ever held?
Oh, by far.
If so, what was the scariest part about longboarding?
Have I told you about my injury?
No.
Oh, well, this is great. There's a reason I don't longboard anymore. It was the summer before my senior year of high school, and my brother and I, when you get into longboarding, there's 2 different ways you can go. There's like the really grippy wheels dancing, where you like can cross your feet and do like the whole awesome side of it. Requires a lot of footwork. Wasn't what I was interested in. Then there's the extreme sliding downhill.
Okay.
That's what we were getting into. So my brother and I would learn to slide in our driveway, and then we would bomb the hill from my parents' house to my grandparents' house. It was a decent hill. We had an accelerometer app on our phone. You get to like 15 miles an hour down that hill. Well, we vacationed at this lake house every year, and we would go to the lake house. Actually, we'd go multiple times a year, and going into the neighborhood, there was a really big hill. What was beautiful about this hill is it went down, curved, and then went uphill. So Jimmy and I were like, you don't have to brake on that hill. You just bomb it, and then you ride up the hill.
There's your brake.
So we bombed it a few times back in like May of that year. And we would tuck, so you get your feet like this, and you tuck your hands behind to be like really aerodynamic. And
love it.
I would like pull my phone out in front of me and check, and we got like 30, 35 miles an hour going down this hill.
Okay.
Biggest thrill of my life. It was incredible.
Oh,
like you were flying. Well, July 4th weekend, we send it. We're doing it. The bottom of the hill, there's a boat ramp. We're sitting it down. I went first. My brother was behind me. I'm sitting it. I obviously had all my protection on, gloves, all of that. And I get around the blind corner, and there's this big old truck backing his boat in, and he's taking up the whole road. And again, this is like at the peak of the hill, so I know from previous experience I'm going like 30 some miles an hour.
Yeah.
Get around the corner, I see him. And with longboarding, you can stop, but you can't stop on a dime. Yeah. So he's about 70, 80 feet in front of me probably, and so I immediately go, I have to slide. Yeah. That's my only option, I gotta stop. So I put both my hands down, because that was the slide I knew, kicked my feet out, I start sliding, and everything's going to plan, and then my left puck caught a piece of like a rock or something, and just pulled my arm straight up. So it pulls my arm straight up, I slide on my stomach on the asphalt the rest of the way, spin a few times, get up, and my brother again's behind me. The boat's backing up, so the guy didn't really stop in the boat, and my brother just like swerved around him, went up the hill, and then came running back to check on me. I stood up, grabbed my board, walked over to the side of the road, and like sat down of like, I can't believe I just survived. Like I think I'm okay.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there, and my brother's like, "You all right?" I'm like, "Yeah, I was wild."
That's crazy.
Yeah, I was like, "That was the craziest thing ever." It's like, I can't move my left arm though. He's like, "What do you mean?" I was like, I can't move my left arm. As I'm holding everything. I have no pain right now at all, just pure adrenaline. He's like, "Well, let's look at it." I look down, nothing's weird. I roll my sleeve up, and the ball of my shoulder is sitting up here, like completely outside. And I had heard the story. My sister was an EMT, and she had told me a story of someone who got in a motorcycle wreck, and when they showed up, he had grabbed the bottom of his leg and kicked to pop his shoulder back in.
Yeah.
My dad was my basketball coach, and so I didn't want him to know I got injured because it was a dumb way to get injured.
Yeah. So you're like, time to solve
again, I have no pain right now at all. So I just grabbed my hand under my leg and I just started kicking. And I was like mule kicking hard as I could. And my shoulder would budge, but it wouldn't go in. It would budge, it wouldn't go in. And so I was like, "Jimmy, I gotta go to the hospital. I gotta get someone to pop it back in. I don't know what else to do. Like, that's the only way I know to do it." Jimmy wasn't messing with it, so we call my parents. They come, they take me to the hospital. On the ride to the hospital, I started just like getting really nauseous because it was like, I slowly started to get into pain, but my shoulder never got into pain. I just like felt like I've been kicked in the nuts, like just pure nausea, like I was gonna throw up. And it was like the worst, most intense pain I've ever been in. Get to the hospital. From the time that my shoulder popped out till they got morphine in me was 7 hours of me just laying there. Because the hospital, I don't know what they were doing. It was we went to Bedford Memorial Hospital, never go there. I was laying there, and by the end of it, I mean, there's pictures of me, I looked dead, because like I was as white as a sheet, because my body was going through so much pain.
Yeah.
Popped morphine in me, tried to set my shoulder, couldn't do it. Tried again, couldn't do it. Doctor came in, he's like, "I gotta be honest with you. If I can't set it right now, we're gonna have to knock you out, and we're gonna have to like surgically set your shoulder, and probably like you probably torn a bunch in there. We're gonna have to do surgery right now." I was like, "Okay." He's like, "So you just tell me," because I could feel pressure still.
Yeah.
He's like, "If the pressure gets to be too much, you tell me." And I'm like, "I'm not having shoulder surgery.
I don't care what it is.
Pressure's not gonna get to be too much." So he like moved my arm out like this, and then slowly lifted, and I just like so much pressure, and then like super loud like gunshot pop. Shoulder went back in, and then I was a month and a half in a shoulder brace, month and a half rehab, and then they told me that there was like an 80-some% chance my shoulder would pop back out during basketball season if I didn't get surgery, but if I got surgery, it'd knock me out of basketball season. So I was like, we're rolling the dice. Shoulder never popped back out. Okay. But I've also never touched my longboard again.
I was gonna say, so Foundation Nation longboarding video?
Yeah, nope.
Coming soon?
I wish it would have never happened because it was some of the most fun I've ever had.
That's fair.
But now I'm terrified.
Yeah, no, scrolling through, I saw the videos with like the gloves and the sliding and all that, and I was like,
it's a good time.
Dang, this dude's intense.
It's a lot of fun until it wasn't.
I mean, if that ain't just life in general. This one's super easy. You've heard all, like middle schoolers do this all the time, like marry, kiss, kill. Yeah. Kind of a deal. We're gonna do our version: bag it, bomb it, burn it.
Okay.
One's going in the bag. One, you're like, I'm a full sendies, and then the other, never again. Polecat, glitch, and a berg.
Berg, burned, gone, forever.
Love it.
Polecat, bombing it, bagging the glitch.
Okay.
100%.
I love it.
That was easy. That was an easy one.
Okay.
I can see where some people get hung up on that.
Yeah. Well, and when eventually we'll have, this is way too stable. What am I doing? We're not going full. Yeah, we'll go this one.
A little Shogun action?
Sensei. The Glow Sensei.
You told me that.
Yeah.
I thought you were talking about the Shogun when you said Sensei. I haven't thrown a Glow Sensei.
You can see it's still stable.
Man, that's tons of late fade there.
Yeah, it's just.
Do you have a Glow Shogun in your bag too?
I do not.
Okay, so you were talking to Glow Sensei, and I thought you were talking to Glow Shogun.
Yeah, the Sensei, it was like a small little run they did.
Oh, I'm all over it. I'm all over it.
Oh. Well, you're saying short basket, you mean literally like, these things are small.
Doesn't even matter. It doesn't even matter. Bang, bang into the room.
Bang, bang into the room. You know you want it. This is something that we actually have in common, and I've listened to over time, but a lot of people don't know this about me. And unless you listen to, I really think it was a Bogey Bow Banter that y'all talked about this. Okay. So if you're not deep diving into this, Foundation's not your first disc golf, or it's not your first YouTube channel.
Correct. Actually,
several down the line.
How many? What YouTube channel do you think it is for me? Because there's
So-
some out there I would be surprised if you knew.
Okay, so I'm talking Magic Trick.
Okay,
channel.
so you think this is my second?
So I'm sure you have some in between, but where does Magic Tricks fall inside of the list?
Magic. So my first ever YouTube channel.
Okay.
You know what? I'm gonna give all the exclusives here.
Okay,
to your-
I
to
love
your-
it. I love it.
your
Come on.
viewers. First ever one was Magic Freak 1223.
Okay.
Then me and my buddy Chip, we switched to H&C Magic, Hunter and Chip Magic.
Obviously.
My Magic Freak 1223 channel got hacked.
Ooh.
So
The dark web.
yeah, I switched over to H&C Magic. Then later in life, and by later in life I mean when I was like 13.
Is that pretty good?
That's like 40 feet short.
Okay.
I started a fingerboarding channel. There's actually
Wow.
two of them. So there's Tech Deck Dude 1223,
Okay.
and I believe H&C Boards has a channel. H&C Boards was the first company I ever started. We
Okay.
sold fingerboards online. Then after that comes, after that I believe the next YouTube channel I started was with Josh White of Overthrow.
Okay.
Know Your Discs
Yeah.
was the name of our YouTube channel.
Now that one I've heard of.
And then after that, Foundation.
Okay.
So there's the whole spectrum.
There's the whole spectrum. So really so to go back to H&C Magic then,
Yeah.
or Magic Freak,
Yeah, the start of it all.
Magic Trick, what is the hardest magic trick that you ever learned? Like what's the effect? It was the
Okay.
hardest for you to master.
I think the hardest one, this is one of the easiest magic tricks to learn.
Yeah.
But to get really good at it and build out a good routine, it gets very complex and difficult.
Yeah.
And that's the ambitious card routine.
Absolutely.
So the one that I would always do started with your simple ambitious card routine, then would eventually get to like the glass deck where
Okay.
you would open your hands and the entire deck was gone, but your card.
Yeah.
And then for the finale, I would, sometimes that was the finale. Other times I would do a similar ending where I would have that not be your card with the
Ooh.
glass deck.
And then
It'd be like, oh, he messed up. And then I would throw your card up with the signature and it was all folded up in my mouth. That was the finale. And throughout there were several steps of like you sign the front of your card and then you sign the back of a different card and then they're merged together and they're the same card. And like the ambitious card routine, there were so many different facets to it.
Yeah.
That when I finally had
Ever-changing.
mine built out to where I was like, okay, I can perform this everywhere.
Yeah.
That was probably the most complex and the one I spent the most time on.
That's fair.
I think one of the ones that was one of the hardest to learn and get good at
Great putt.
was Sam the Bellhop. which
Sam
is
the bellhop.
Essentially, you tell a story of this bellhop, and like throughout it, there's different numbers in the story and stuff like that. And the whole time you're shuffling the cards, and as you're shuffling the cards, you pull out the cards that correlate to the story for the entire deck. And so
Okay.
basically, the entire deck has to be presented in a certain order while you're shuffling. So you just have to learn a ton of false shuffles and false cuts and all kinds of stuff. So I think that one is probably the most technological, or whatever, what would it be? Not technological, most technical.
I love it. I got into close-up magic my 9th grade year
Heck
of
yeah.
high school, and stuck with it for a while.
I was convinced that was my future. I thought I was gonna open a magic shop.
I love it.
And here I am running a disc golf shop.
Yeah. Okay, so this is an ambiguous one, but it's my favorite question to ask people in interviews and all of that is, what's one thing that you love to answer about yourself?
Oh, fascinating.
So like whenever someone gets in an interview, it's like, I hope they don't ask me about this. I hope they don't ask me about this. But there's always something that you're like, I could crush that question.
I like being asked about two things: specialty coffee,
Okay.
and
I could
social
gather that.
media.
Okay.
Slash, we'll just say marketing.
Okay.
Specialty coffee and marketing. I feel like I know a lot more about those topics than people would expect me to.
Okay.
Because I've dedicated a lot of time to learning.
Okay.
And so I like when people ask me questions about that, because I'm passionate about both, and I think it's fun to talk about something you're passionate about.
Absolutely. That looks really good.
I might be one of the best shots I've ever thrown in this hole.
Yeah, okay. So just flirt it But get left.
Yep.
Okie dokie.
Get around that. You have an easy approach in there.
Easy.
This used to be a par 4 when the course was first in. Oh, because this was the only one of the 4 par 4s that you're like, I can at least understand it. When I first started playing, these trees were a lot shorter, so you could go spike hyzer.
Okay.
And if you had enough distance, you could get it here.
Well, I want to say before we finish, thanks for coming on, man.
Yeah, it was a blast.
Hope you guys have enjoyed Birdie Talks. I just think we don't get the chance to we know people in contexts, but we don't get to know them overall.
Yeah.
So hopefully, if this is questions that y'all are like, hey, that was good, or hey, we'd like to know more about this for future guests. We're trying to improve, that's what we're doing. So our final question is, what is one aspect of disc golf that you wish you could be more involved in than you are right now?
I think for sure my answer is I wish I had more time to play in and run more tournaments. I work during the week, I work in disc golf, obviously, so I play a lot of disc golf. So to be able to come home and be like, hey honey and son, I'm gonna walk right back out the door and go to this weekly.
Yeah. Tough.
It's not really something that my wife would be too happy with me if I did on the regular. And a similar thing with the weekends. When you know this from running and owning a business as far as your channel, like there's not really a you're on the clock, off the clock time. Yeah. So especially in the social media world, like stuff happens, announcements happen, DMs start coming in, and like I'm at home, but there's still work. There's still work to be done.
Amen.
And that's been a tough line with like a work-life balance. And the best way I've done it.
Oh, that looks good.
That'll be close. Okay. The best way I've done it is like the weekends is my wife and I's time, and what that means is I don't get to play in or run nearly as many tournaments as I like to.
That's fair.
But I think that's definitely the aspect, because like prior to being married, I was playing like this. I think there was one season I played like 25 tournaments. Yeah. And like that was incredible.
Yeah. And the competitor loves it, but
yeah, the competitor in me wants to be on the course. The family man and husband in me wants to be at home, spending time with my kid, and my wife, of course.
Yeah. We finished hand down. Dennis, what are you doing? Come on. All right, well, that's going to wrap it up for our first episode of Birdie Talks. Dude, honored to have you. You can find Hunter at Foundation Disc Golf. And then if you want to follow him personally, where's all that at?
I don't even know my personal handle. I think it's like at
where it matters. Where it matters.
Twitter's at FDG_Hunter_T. I think that's the main spot it matters. Instagram, it's like Hunter Thomas. If you just search Hunter Thomas FDG, it'll come up.
Yeah,
it's there somewhere.
Awesome. Well, dude, thank you. Happy to be part of the fam. Honored to have you for the first guest.
Yeah, it was incredible. Thanks so much for having me.
Come on. But thank you guys for watching. We hope you have an amazing rest of the day. Please make it fantastic for someone else too. You want to hit them with the but for now?
Hey, but for now, I'll leave you with the birdie.